This Tuesday carries a subtle force, a hidden current that stirs the soul in ways the mind often overlooks. Ancient Shaolin masters understood that some days are more than mere dates. They are spiritual catalysts, moments when the veil between who we are and who we are becoming grows thin. On this day, the world may seem ordinary, yet within a quiet awakening begins, nudging the spirit toward clarity. Awareness is the first step toward mastery. This principle, honed over centuries in the Shaolin temples, teaches that true power is born not in action alone, but in understanding oneself, observing thoughts, emotions, and impulses. With sharp clarity, reveals hidden patterns that shape our destiny. It is in these fleeting moments of insight that transformation quietly begins, imperceptible yet profound. In this video, you will uncover how this Tuesday acts as a mirror, reflecting your inner state and highlighting the paths your life is quietly urging you to follow. You will learn techniques drawn from ancient Shaolin wisdom to harness this energy, turning ordinary hours into a doorway for deep self-mastery. Lesser-known practices, once guarded in the temples, will show you how subtle shifts in awareness ripple into lasting change. By watching until the end, you will gain insight into recognizing these inner signals, learning to respond with presence rather than reaction. You will discover why moments like these reveal not what the world does to you, but who you are becoming in silence and stillness. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire, where ancient wisdom meets the awakening of the modern soul. Subscribe now and step into a journey where every day can ignite the fire of awareness within you. Every encounter carries a lesson, though few recognize it in the moment. Life places people, situations, and challenges before us, not as obstacles, but as mirrors, reflecting the parts of ourselves we often ignore. A sharp word from a stranger, a sudden failure, even a fleeting sense of frustration, each reveals a hidden corner of the mind, a strength or weakness waiting to be acknowledged. Shaolin wisdom teaches that the world does not act upon us blindly, it responds to the state we hold within. Anger mirrors unresolved tension, impatience reveals hidden restlessness, and fear exposes where courage has yet to be claimed. The mirror is not an enemy, it is a teacher. It shows us what lies beneath the surface, illuminating patterns that have shaped our life quietly over time. To see clearly, one must pause. Observe the stirrings of emotion without rushing to judgment or reaction. Mindfulness becomes the sword that cuts through illusion, revealing truth in the simple act of watching. When annoyance arises, ask, what does this reveal about me? When joy blooms unexpectedly, recognize the alignment that allowed it. Each reflection is a doorway, a signal pointing to areas where mastery is possible. Strength does not always appear in grand victories. Often, it hides in subtle resilience, the ability to remain present while the mind spins, the patience to listen when pride urges dismissal, the clarity to respond rather than react. By learning to read the mirror of self, each moment becomes a teacher. We begin to understand that challenges are invitations, not punishments, and that the reflections we encounter in the world are echoes of the inner truths we are ready to face. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction. Yet in the wisdom of the ancients, it is the quiet key that unlocks the door to truth. In the Shaolin temples, monks move through each day with deliberate actions, small and precise, not for the sake of obedience, but to cultivate harmony between mind, body, and spirit. Each ritual, each repetition served as a reminder that mastery is not sudden, it grows like a river carving stone, patient and persistent. True self is not revealed in moments of impulse or fleeting desire. It emerges gradually, shaped by consistent choices and mindful attention. Waking early, observing silence, tending the body, and controlling the breath, all seemingly simple acts, create a rhythm that aligns one's energy with purpose. Discipline transforms ordinary routines into tools for insight, turning habitual effort into pathways of self-discovery. The power of discipline lies not in external performance, but in the quiet shaping of inner character. When actions are repeated with conscious intent, they begin to imprint strength, clarity, and resilience onto the mind. Obstacles that once seemed daunting soften in the presence of steady effort, and the murmur of distraction gives way to the still voice of inner wisdom. This is why the path of discipline is a path toward truth. It teaches patience, reveals hidden potentials, and refines perception. The self that emerges through disciplined practice is not shaped by external approval nor by the fleeting tides of circumstance. It is a version of oneself grounded in awareness, capable of seeing clearly, acting wisely, and moving through life with quiet confidence. Gradually, the consistent, mindful acts of discipline illuminate the contours of who we truly are, showing that mastery is not a destination, but a practice lived moment by moment. In the stillness of silence, the mind begins to reveal what noise often conceals. The Shaolin masters understood that clarity is born not in constant action, but in the spaces between moments when the world quiets and the inner self can be seen. Silence is not emptiness. It is a lens sharpening awareness and illuminating truths that words alone cannot express. This Tuesday carries a subtle energy, one that favors reflection over activity, observation over reaction. It is a day when the currents of life slow just enough for insight to rise. By embracing silence, one can notice thoughts as they arise, like clouds drifting across a vast sky, neither clinging to them nor pushing them away. Each thought becomes a teacher, revealing patterns, attachments, and hidden currents of emotion that influence actions without conscious awareness. To practice this is simple, yet profound. Pause, breathe, watch the mind without judgment. Let ideas, worries, and desires pass naturally like leaves floating downstream. In these moments, the chatter of the everyday world fades, leaving space for deeper understanding to emerge. The heart and mind begin to align, and a quiet clarity surfaces, a recognition of what is essential and what merely distracts. The power of silence is subtle but transformative. It strengthens discipline, sharpens perception, and cultivates inner mastery. In these calm moments, one glimpses the contours of the true self, unclouded by external influence. The energy of this Tuesday amplifies this effect, offering an opportunity for introspection that can reveal hidden strengths and dormant potentials. By honoring the silence within, the mind becomes a mirror, reflecting not chaos, but clarity, not distraction, but focus, not surface appearances, but the profound depth of one's inner truth. In this quiet, the path forward becomes unmistakably clear. Many carry within them patterns woven long ago, habits, beliefs, and fears that once served a purpose, yet now quietly limit the soul. These threads of the past cling without notice, guiding choices and shaping reactions in ways that feel automatic. Shaolin wisdom teaches that awareness of these patterns is the first step toward freedom. To master oneself, one must first see what binds the spirit. The practice begins with observation. Sit quietly and notice the habits that arise without thought. Observe the recurring fears, the impulses that pull toward old behaviors, the judgments that replay endlessly. Do not resist them and do not condemn them. In mindfulness, the key is gentle attention, like watching waves rise and fall, understanding that they are neither permanent nor defining. Once recognized, release becomes possible. Consciously let go of what no longer serves. It may be a long-held belief, a reaction born of old pain, or a self-limiting fear. Each release is an act of courage, a commitment to authenticity. Liberation does not happen through force, but through the steady practice of noticing, acknowledging, and allowing. The mind begins to relax, the heart opens, and space emerges where the true self can step forward. This process is subtle, yet profound. By letting go of outdated patterns, one clears the ground for growth and clarity. The path becomes lighter, actions more deliberate, and awareness sharper. The self that rises from this practice is not shaped by external expectation, but by the calm, disciplined cultivation of inner truth. In releasing, the soul finds room to breathe. In observing without judgment, the mind finds its freedom, and in the quiet clarity that follows, the authentic self finally has the space to appear, strong, steady, and unshakable. True mastery begins when mind, body, and spirit move in harmony. Ancient wisdom passed down through Shaolin teachings reveals that imbalance in one area ripples through the others. Thoughts clouded by doubt stir restless emotions, while the body acts out what the mind resists. To walk the path of inner mastery, one must first recognize where these elements fall out of alignment. Start by observing. Notice the tension in the body, the racing of the mind, the subtle currents of emotion. These are signals, quiet indicators that harmony has faltered. Reflection alone is not enough. Awareness must guide action. Misalignment often hides in the small choices of daily life. The hurried movement, the shallow breath, the unexamined reaction. By gently tuning into each layer of experience, clarity begins to emerge. Restoring balance does not require dramatic change. Simple, consistent practices can realign the whole being. Mindful breathing slows the mind and relaxes the body, creating space for the spirit to settle. Deliberate movement, whether walking, stretching, or flowing sequences, reconnects awareness with physical presence. Moments of stillness, even brief, allow the mind to release distraction and the heart to settle into rhythm. Each action, repeated with intention, strengthens the bridge between inner and outer self. Through this alignment, the flow of life becomes clearer, decisions more grounded, and energy more focused. The mind sharpens, the body responds with precision, and the spirit resonates with authenticity. Harmony is not a destination but a practice cultivated through daily attention and disciplined care. When mind, body, and spirit move together, the self reveals its natural strength, clarity, and resilience, an inner mastery that carries through every challenge, every choice, and every moment. Every step towards self-mastery leads inevitably to the shadows within. These are the fears, doubts, and insecurities we often hide from, believing avoidance will protect us. Yet the Shaolin masters teach that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the disciplined willingness to face it with clarity and presence. Shadows are not enemies, they are guides, pointing to areas where growth and transformation are possible. This Tuesday carries a subtle but powerful energy, one that illuminates the hidden corners of the mind. Thoughts and feelings that usually remain unnoticed may surface, offering a rare chance to observe them without judgment. The challenge is to meet these inner reflections with steady breath and calm awareness, acknowledging their existence without letting them define the self. Begin by noticing what arises. Perhaps it is doubt about your abilities, old regrets, or a quiet resistance to change. Do not push these sensations away. Instead, allow them to be, observing the tension in the body, the stirring of emotion, and the narratives that play in the mind. In witnessing these shadows, you reclaim the power they once held over you. Transformation occurs not through force, but through disciplined presence. Each time fear is met with clarity and steadiness, its grip weakens and the authentic self steps forward. Courage grows silently, rooted in awareness and mindful action. Small, intentional steps, pausing before reacting, breathing deeply through discomfort, reflecting without judgment, create a foundation of inner strength. By facing shadows without fear, the path to self-discovery becomes illuminated. The mind sharpens, the heart steadies, and the spirit learns that strength is born not from avoidance but from disciplined attention and unwavering clarity. This Tuesday, as these hidden aspects rise into view, there is an opportunity to transform what was once limiting into a source of profound mastery. Life unfolds, not in grand events, but in the quiet choices made in each passing moment. Ancient Shaolin wisdom teaches that mastery is cultivated through deliberate action, not impulse. Every decision, no matter how small, carries the potential to shape the trajectory of the self. The power of intentional choice lies in its ability to transform ordinary life into a path of growth and awareness. Comfort often tempts the mind, offering ease in repetition, familiarity, and avoidance. Growth, on the other hand, asks for attention, effort, and sometimes discomfort. The disciplined mind recognizes the distinction and chooses the path that nurtures strength, clarity, and presence. Even in mundane actions, speaking with patience, breathing through tension, or responding rather than reacting. Intentionality turns routine into practice. Mindfulness becomes the tool for this transformation. Pause before acting. Observe impulses without judgment. Ask, which choice reflects the self I wish to become? By responding consciously rather than following habitual reaction, the inner self gains guidance over instinct, and the energy of life flows in alignment with purpose. Small, repeated decisions build patterns that eventually define character, shaping resilience, compassion, and wisdom. The essence of who we will become is woven from these choices. The alignment of thought, action, and intention creates a steady foundation for growth. Each conscious step strengthens the connection between mind, body, and spirit, and reinforces the discipline required for inner mastery. Even moments that seem insignificant carry weight, for they are the threads from which destiny is woven. By embracing the power of intentional choice, life itself becomes a training ground for the soul. With awareness and deliberate action, what once seemed random or routine transforms into a daily practice of self-mastery, guiding each individual toward the authentic, disciplined, and wise version of themselves. The deepest guidance often comes not from the world around us, but from the quiet voice within. Ancient masters knew that the path of mastery is discovered inwardly through disciplined attention to the subtle currents of thought, feeling, and intuition. The wisdom of the inner self is steady, unwavering, and attuned to truths that the mind alone cannot always perceive. This Tuesday carries an energy that sharpens intuition, making it easier to hear the whispers of insight that usually pass unnoticed. By taking time for meditation, journaling, or quiet reflection, one creates space for this inner voice to emerge. Even a few deliberate minutes of stillness can illuminate choices, reveal patterns, and clarify the next step on the path. In these practices, the mind slows, the heart steadies, and awareness deepens, allowing guidance to surface naturally rather than being forced. The process is simple yet profound. Sit quietly and observe the rhythm of the breath, or place pen to paper and let thoughts flow freely without judgment. Notice the subtle impulses, the sparks of clarity, and the recurring patterns that point toward what is aligned with your true self. Each insight, no matter how small, carries the energy of wisdom cultivated over lifetimes, waiting to be recognized. Inner mastery is born from this ongoing dialogue with oneself. Discipline in practice strengthens perception, patience in listening sharpens discernment, and consistency builds trust in one's own guidance. Life becomes less a series of random events and more a conscious navigation of choices, informed by the quiet, intelligent currents within. This Tuesday, the connection to inner wisdom is amplified. By honoring the stillness and tuning into subtle signals, clarity arises about the path ahead. The more attention given to this inner guidance, the more it shapes decisions, actions, and ultimately the unfolding of the authentic self, grounded in awareness, discipline, and profound understanding. The journey of mastery leads always to a single point: the emergence of the true self. Every moment of awareness, every act of disciplined practice, every choice made with intention, and every shadow faced with courage contributes to this unfolding. The self that rises from this inner work is not shaped by circumstance or opinion, but by steady, conscious effort, a reflection of clarity, resilience, and authenticity. Stepping into this self begins with integration. Awareness allows recognition of patterns and opportunities. Discipline turns insight into action. Alignment of mind, body, and spirit ensures harmony in thought, feeling, and deed. Courage illuminates hidden fears, transforming them into strength. Intentional choice directs energy toward growth rather than comfort. Each principle practiced consistently forms the foundation for the authentic self to emerge naturally. The process is gradual, subtle, and deeply transformative. Like water carving stone, the quiet repetition of mindful practice reshapes the contours of identity. Strength emerges where resistance once lingered. Clarity appears where confusion reigned. The energy of this Tuesday amplifies the impact of these practices, revealing glimpses of the self that has long been present, waiting patiently beneath distraction, habit, and fear. Confidence grows not from external validation, but from recognition of inner mastery. The authentic self that surfaces is steady, capable, and aligned, a version of you that moves through life with clarity and purpose. Each conscious choice, each disciplined action, and each moment of reflection strengthens this presence. As the principles of awareness, discipline, alignment, courage, and intentionality converge, the path forward becomes unmistakable. This is the self that naturally rises from insight, patience, and dedication. It is steady in the face of challenge, calm amid chaos, and luminous in quiet reflection. By stepping fully into it, one lives not by chance, but by the disciplined cultivation of inner truth, embodying the mastery that has been quietly nurtured all along. This Tuesday holds more than the passage of time. It serves as a mirror, a doorway, and a quiet test of inner mastery. The moments you spend in awareness, the choices made with discipline, the courage to face your shadows, and the mindfulness to observe without judgment are all guiding you closer to your authentic self. Take these lessons into your daily life. Notice the subtle patterns of thought and emotion. Pause before reacting. Choose actions that reflect your highest intentions and align mind, body, and spirit with each step. The path of inner mastery is built in these small, consistent moments of conscious effort. Allow yourself the space to reflect, to release what no longer serves, and to cultivate habits that nurture clarity and strength. Observe, choose, align, and step fully into the version of yourself that is patiently waiting to emerge. May this journey unfold gently, with patience and insight, revealing the depth of your true self with every mindful moment. If this message resonates, join our community at Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe now and continue walking the path of awareness, discipline, and inner mastery alongside others seeking the same quiet strength and clarity.